The notification sound from my phone cut through the morning air like a blade. I was standing in front of the mirror in my childhood bedroom, adjusting the simple pearl necklace that had belonged to my grandmother, when I heard it. My wedding dress hung perfectly. Nothing extravagant, just elegant ivory silk that made me feel beautiful. In 3 hours, I'd be walking down the aisle to marry the love of my life. I shouldn't have looked at my phone. I knew better. But something about that particular ping made my stomach clench. My name is Tatum, and I'm about to tell you about the day that changed everything. The Instagram post was already an hour old. My mother Helen had uploaded a photo of my sister Eloise at some charity luncheon, radiant in a designer dress I knew cost more than most people's rent. The caption read, "Proud of the daughter who honors the family. Blessed, charm family values. Raising them right." My hands started shaking. "Tate, you okay in there?" Ariel's voice drifted through the door. My best friend since college had been my rock through everything, and she was the only family member I needed today. "Come in," I called, setting the phone face down on the vanity. Ariel stepped inside, stunning in her burgundy maid of honor dress. She took one look at my face and her expression darkened. What did they do now? I handed her the phone without a word. "Oh, hell no." Ariel's voice went dangerously quiet as she read. "Today? She posted this today? An hour ago." My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. Ariel scrolled through the comments, her face growing more furious by the second. "Tatum, don't read these. Please." But I already had. Aunt Catherine. "Some daughters understand loyalty." Cousin Marcus. "Glad to see one of Helen's girls turned out right." Uncle David. "Tatum always was the difficult one." The difficult one. That phrase had followed me my entire life. Difficult because I asked questions. Difficult because I didn't smile and nod when they criticized my career, my choices, my husband-to-be. Difficult because I refused to pretend their toxic behavior was normal. "Where's Blaze?" I asked, needing to see his face, to remember why I was doing this despite the empty chairs that should have held my parents. Getting ready with his groomsmen. He doesn't know about this yet. Ariel sat beside me on the bed. "Tate, you don't have to let them ruin this day. They already have." I stared at my reflection. The woman looking back at me had spent 32 years trying to earn love that was never going to come. Do you know what the worst part is? I actually thought they might surprise me. That maybe, just maybe, they'd show up. "Their loss," Ariel said fiercely. "Blaze's family loves you. I love you. That's what matters." I picked up my phone again, scrolling through more comments. Extended family members I barely spoke to were weighing in, all of them taking sides, all of them choosing Eloise. "Look at this," I said, showing Ariel a comment from my mother's sister. "Catherine says I'm an embarrassment to the family name, because I'm marrying a contractor instead of a lawyer, because I didn't go to their precious country club wedding last month." "You were working," Ariel reminded me. "That project launch couldn't wait." "It doesn't matter. Nothing I do will ever be enough." I stood up, smoothing down my dress. "You know what? I'm done caring." Ariel's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and winced. "Tate." "What now?" "Your mom just shared the post to Facebook. It's getting more comments." I took the phone and read the new messages. More family members chiming in. More people who hadn't spoken to me in years suddenly having opinions about my life choices. Then I saw it. A comment from my father, Matthew. "Eloise has always been our pride and joy. Some children understand what family means." The words hit me like a physical blow. Today, on my wedding day. They were publicly disowning me while I was getting ready to walk down the aisle. That's it. I set the phone down with deliberate calm. "I'm done." "Done with what?" I looked at Ariel, and for the first time in hours, I smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. It was something else entirely. They're about to learn who I really am. Ariel studied my face. Tatum, what are you thinking? I'm thinking, I said, picking up my bouquet, that some lessons are a long time coming. The church bells started ringing in the distance. It was time. The wedding was beautiful. Blaze's family filled the church with warmth and laughter, and when I walked down that aisle, his face lit up like I was the only person in the world. We danced, we celebrated, and for a few precious hours, I almost forgot about the empty chairs in the front row. But the next morning, reality came crashing back. Coffee's ready, Blaze called from the kitchen of our apartment. We'd decided to postpone the honeymoon for a few weeks, wanting to settle into married life first. I padded out in my pajamas, still wearing my wedding ring, still feeling like I was floating, until I saw the stack of mail on the counter. Bank statement came, Blaze said, kissing my forehead, and something from your parents' mortgage company. My stomach dropped. I'd been dreading this moment for 2 years. Tate, you okay? I picked up the envelope with shaking hands. It was addressed to me, not them, because I was the one who'd been paying their mortgage since Dad lost his pension in that investment scandal. I need to tell you something, I said, sinking onto a bar stool. Blaze set down his coffee mug. What's wrong? Remember when I told you my dad was doing well financially? That they owned their house outright? Yeah, that was a lie. Well, not my lie. Theirs. I opened the envelope, scanning the payment confirmation. Dad lost everything 2 years ago. Bad investments. Some kind of Ponzi scheme. They were about to lose the house. Blaze stared at me. Tatum, what did you do? I took over the mortgage payments. Anonymously. They think it's some kind of bank error or restructuring deal. I laughed bitterly. They've been bragging to their friends about their financial acumen ever since. Jesus Christ. Blaze ran his hands through his hair. How much? $3,000 a month. For 2 years. $72,000. His voice was flat. You've given them $72,000, and they don't even know it. They would never have accepted help from me. You know that. I'm the difficult daughter, remember? Blaze sat down across from me. Why didn't you tell me? Because I knew you'd try to talk me out of it. And because... I trailed off, staring at the payment stub. Because I kept hoping that maybe if I proved I was reliable, if I showed them I could take care of them, they'd finally see me as worthy. And instead, they skipped your wedding to publicly humiliate you on social media. Pretty much. Blaze was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached across the table and took my hand. What do you want to do? I pulled out my laptop and logged into my banking app. The automatic payment was scheduled for next week. My finger hovered over the cancel button. They posted that photo while I was getting ready to marry you, I said quietly. They chose yesterday, of all days, to make it clear that I'm not their daughter. Not really. So cancel it. It's not that simple. They'll lose the house. That's not your problem anymore. I stared at the screen. $72,000. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'd love me enough to show up for the most important day of my life. You know what the worst part is? I said. Last month, at Eloise's country club wedding, Mom cornered me in the bathroom. She said I was selfish for not being there for family events, that I didn't understand what loyalty meant. While you were literally paying for their house. While I was literally paying for their house. I clicked cancel on the automatic payment. But I'm not done yet. Blaze raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? I opened the account settings and scrolled to the payment memo section. For 2 years, it had been blank. But now I typed, funding provided by the difficult daughter. Tatum? They want to know what loyalty looks like? They're about to find out. I hit save and closed the laptop. The next payment would have been due in 5 days. When it doesn't go through, they'll get a notice. And when they call the bank to ask why, They'll see that memo. Blaze was quiet for a moment. Are you sure about this? I thought about the empty chairs at my wedding, about the Instagram post, about 32 years of being treated like I was broken, difficult, wrong. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. My phone buzzed with a text from Ariel. How are you feeling today, Mrs. Walton? I smiled, typing back, like I'm finally free. But I wasn't free yet. Not completely. There was still one more thing I needed to do. 3 weeks later, the envelope arrived. I was working from home when the mail carrier knocked. Certified letter, he said, handing me the clipboard to sign. Needs to go to a Matthew Fletcher, but it's being forwarded to this address. My heart hammered as I signed my name. The return address made my mouth go dry. First National Bank, Foreclosure Department. Thanks, I managed, closing the door with shaking hands. The envelope was thick, official-looking. I knew what was inside before I even opened it. Final notice of foreclosure. 30 days to bring the account current or face eviction proceedings. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the letter. The amount due was staggering. Not just the missed payment, but late fees, legal costs, processing charges. Nearly $4,000. My phone rang. Blaze. Hey, how's your day going? His voice was warm, normal. He had no idea I was holding the nuclear bomb that would destroy my parents' carefully constructed life. Interesting, I said. The foreclosure notice came. Silence. Then, Jesus, how do you feel? Honestly? Terrified and exhilarated and sick to my stomach. You don't have to do anything with it, you know. You could just let it sit there. I walked to my desk and pulled out a manila envelope. No, I'm done letting things sit. What are you going to do? I spread the foreclosure notice on my desk, then opened my laptop. It took me 30 seconds to find Mom's Instagram post from my wedding day. I screenshotted it, printed it out, and grabbed a red pen. Tatum? I'm here. I circled the words, honors the family, in red ink, then drew an arrow pointing to it. In the margin, I wrote, define honor. What are you doing? Sending them a care package. I folded the Instagram printout and slipped it into the envelope with the foreclosure notice. They want to know what family loyalty looks like? They're about to get a masterclass. I pulled out a piece of my personal stationery. The expensive kind Mom had always insisted was proper. And wrote, Dear Mom and Dad, I thought you might find this interesting reading. Maybe perfect daughters come with deep pockets. Love, your difficult daughter. Tatum, are you sure about this? I sealed the note in with the other papers. They made their choice on my wedding day. Now they get to live with the consequences. But I wasn't finished. I walked to my bedroom and pulled out the wedding album Ariel had rushed to get printed. I flipped to my favorite photo, Blaze and me during our first dance, both of us laughing at something he'd whispered in my ear. We looked so happy, so in love. I slipped the photo into the envelope. What was that? Blaze asked. A reminder of what they missed. I addressed the envelope to my parents' house, the house I'd been paying for, and walked to the mailbox before I could change my mind. The next morning, Ariel called. Did you see your mom's Facebook? She asked without preamble. No, I deleted the app. Why? She posted some cryptic quote about betrayal and ungrateful children. Very passive-aggressive, even for her. I laughed. They got my package. What package? I told her everything. The foreclosure notice, the Instagram printout, the wedding photo. Holy shit, Tatum. You really did it. I really did it. How do you feel? I thought about it. Like I'm finally fighting back instead of just taking it. Good. It's about time. Ariel paused. But you know they're going to call, right? Probably today. As if on cue, my phone started buzzing. Mom's number. Speak of the devil, I said. Are you going to answer? I watched the phone ring. and ring and ring. Nope. It went to voicemail, then immediately started ringing again. They're persistent, Ariel said. They're desperate. I turned the phone face down. Let them sweat. The phone rang 6 more times over the next hour. Each time, I let it go to voicemail. I didn't listen to the messages. Around noon, Eloise called. Tatum, what the hell did you send Mom and Dad? The truth. They're freaking out. Mom's been crying all morning, and Dad locked himself in his office. Maybe they should have thought about that before they publicly humiliated me. This is about your wedding? Tatum, that was just a misunderstanding. No. My voice was steel. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice. They chose to skip my wedding and shame me online instead. Now they get to live with what that choice cost them. You're being vindictive. I'm being honest. For the first time in my life. Eloise was quiet for a moment. What do you want from them? Nothing. That's the point. Tatum, please. They're your parents. Are they? Because parents show up for their children. Parents don't publicly humiliate them. Parents don't treat them like they're broken. I hung up and turned off my phone. The war had officially begun. Helen was having brunch with her book club when the envelope arrived. I know this because Ariel's mom, Sandra, was there, and Sandra called Ariel the moment it happened. Your mom opened a manila envelope right there at the table, Sandra told Ariel over the phone. She went completely white, like scary white. Then she started shaking. Ariel had me on 3-way calling. What did she do? She shoved everything back in the envelope and said she had to leave. Emergency at home. But not before I saw her hands trembling so bad she could barely hold her coffee cup. I felt a twisted satisfaction hearing this. For 32 years, my mother had been the picture of composure. Nothing rattled Helen. Nothing made her lose control in public. Did you see what was in the envelope? I asked. Just a glimpse. Some kind of official document. And a photo that looked like it was from a wedding. After Sandra hung up, Ariel whistled low. Damn, Tate. You really got to her. Good. What I didn't know was that Mom had been lying to her book club friends for 2 years. She'd been telling them that Dad's early retirement was planned, that they'd paid off their mortgage and were living comfortably on investments. She'd even bragged about their financial advisor, who'd restructured their payments to practically nothing. Now she was sitting in her car outside the restaurant, staring at a foreclosure notice that proved every word was a lie. According to Eloise, who called me that evening despite my phone being off, Mom came home in full panic mode. She was hyperventilating, Eloise said when I finally turned my phone back on. Dad had to get her a paper bag to breathe into. Dramatic as always. Tatum, this isn't funny. They're talking about losing the house. They are losing the house. That's what happens when you don't pay your mortgage. But you were paying it. For 2 years. Was. Past tense. Eloise was quiet for a moment. Why didn't you tell me? Tell you what? That Dad was in trouble. That you were helping them. I laughed bitterly. When would I have told you? At your country club wedding that I missed because of work. Or maybe during one of our heart-to-heart conversations that never happen because you only call when there's drama. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? I've been keeping your parents afloat for 2 years while they treated me like garbage. And you want to lecture me about fair? They're your parents too. Are they? Because they sure didn't act like it on my wedding day. I could hear Eloise crying. Tatum, please. They made a mistake, but this is too much. They could end up homeless. They have 30 days to figure it out. They don't have $4,000. Then maybe they should ask their perfect daughter for help. The line went quiet. Then Eloise whispered, I don't have it either. What? Brendan and we're maxed out on credit cards. The wedding, the honeymoon, the new car. We're drowning. This was news to me. Golden child Eloise, who'd never wanted for anything, was broke. How broke? 23,000 in credit card debt. We can barely make minimum payments. I sat down hard on my couch. Jesus, Eloise. We were hoping Dad would help us consolidate, but now? She started crying harder. Now I find out he's been broke this whole time, and I've been the one keeping him afloat. Why didn't you tell us? Because you never asked. None of you ever asked how I was doing, what I needed, if I was okay. You just assumed I was fine, because I'm the difficult one who doesn't need anyone. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you called just to check on me? When's the last time Mom asked about my job, my life, my happiness? Eloise couldn't answer. They're having an emergency family meeting tomorrow, she said finally. They want you there. Of course they do, now that they need something. Will you come? I looked around my apartment, my safe space, my sanctuary away from their toxicity. Yeah, I said. I'll come. Really? Oh, I wouldn't miss this for the world. After I hung up, Blaze came home from work to find me sitting in the dark. How'd it go? He asked, flipping on the lights. Better than expected. Apparently, perfect daughter Eloise is 23,000 in debt and can't help Mommy and Daddy. Blaze sat beside me. How do you feel about that? Like karma's working overtime. And the family meeting? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm going to enjoy every second of it. The family meeting was set for Sunday at 2 p.m. I showed up at 2:15, just late enough to make a point. Mom answered the door, looking like she'd aged 5 years in 3 days. Her usually perfect hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she wasn't wearing makeup. Tatum, thank God you're here. Helen. I walked past her into the living room where Dad and Eloise were sitting on the couch. Brendan was in the armchair, looking uncomfortable. Don't I get a hug? Mom asked. No. The room went silent. I sat in the chair across from them, crossing my legs and waiting. Dad cleared his throat. Tatum, we need to talk about this misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? The mortgage situation. There seems to be some confusion about the payments. I laughed. Confusion? Dad, I've been paying your mortgage for 2 years. There's no confusion. That's impossible. The bank restructured our loan. The bank didn't restructure anything. I took over your payments when you lost your pension in that investment scam. Mom's face crumpled. How did you know about that? I'm not stupid, Helen. You think I didn't notice when Dad suddenly retired and you started shopping at Target instead of Nordstrom? We were going to tell you. When? After you lost the house? After you'd exhausted every other option? Eloise leaned forward. Tatum, they were embarrassed. They didn't want to burden you. Burden me? I'm their daughter. But apparently, I'm only useful when you need money. That's not true, Dad said. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Want to see the receipts? $72,000 over 2 years. Every month, like clockwork. Brendan whistled low. 72 grand? Brendan, Eloise hissed. What? That's more than I make in a year. I looked at him. Speaking of money, how's that credit card debt treating you? His face went red. That's none of your business. Nothing's my business until you need me to fix it. Mom started crying. Tatum, please. We're sorry about the wedding. We made a mistake. A mistake? You publicly humiliated me on the most important day of my life. You chose to skip my wedding to post about how wonderful Eloise is. We were upset about you missing Eloise's engagement party. I was working. I had a project launch that couldn't wait. But even if I'd been free, since when is missing a party grounds for skipping your daughter's wedding? Dad stood up. You've always been difficult, Tatum. Always stirring up drama. Difficult? I've been bankrolling your lifestyle for 2 years without asking for so much as a thank you. And I'm difficult? We didn't ask you to do that. Because you didn't know I was doing it. You thought some magical bank fairy was paying your bills. I stood up, and walked to the mantel where they kept their family photos. Every single one featured Eloise prominently. I was in maybe 3 of them, always in the background. You want to know what difficult looks like? I turned back to face them. Difficult is finding out your parents are about to lose their house and taking over their mortgage payments without being asked. Difficult is watching them brag to their friends about their financial success while you're the one funding it. Difficult is hoping that maybe, just maybe, if you prove yourself useful enough, they'll finally love you. We do love you, Mom whispered. No, you don't. You love what I can do for you. There's a difference. I walked back to my chair and sat down. But here's the thing. I'm done being useful. Tatum, please, Eloise said. They'll lose everything. They lost me first. I reached into my purse and pulled out a manila folder. Since we're having a family meeting, I thought you might want to see these. I dropped the folder on the coffee table. It landed with a heavy thud. What is that? Dad asked. 2 years of financial records, bank statements, payment confirmations, email exchanges where you begged me for help before I started paying anonymously. Mom's face went white. You kept records? I keep records of everything, including the emails where you called me selfish for not contributing more to family events, while I was literally paying for your house. Dad reached for the folder, but I snatched it back. These are copies. I have the originals safely stored. What do you want? Brendan asked. I want you to stop pretending I'm the problem. I want you to admit that the difficult daughter was the only thing standing between you and homelessness. Fine, Dad said through gritted teeth. You helped us. Thank you. Now can we move forward? Move forward? Dad, you have 26 days before the sheriff shows up with eviction papers. So help us, Mom pleaded. I stood up and headed for the door. I already did, for 2 years, and you repaid me by skipping my wedding. Tatum, wait. I turned back one last time. You know what the funny thing is? If you'd just shown up to my wedding, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I would have kept paying forever, just grateful for the crumbs of affection you threw my way. I opened the door. But you couldn't even give me that. So that's it? Eloise called after me. You're just going to let them lose everything? I'm not letting them do anything. They did this to themselves. I walked to my car, leaving them sitting in the house I'd been paying for, finally understanding exactly who their difficult daughter really was. I was halfway home when my phone rang. Unknown number. Tatum, it's Catherine, Mom's sister. I hadn't spoken to her since Christmas 2 years ago. Hi, Catherine. Can we meet? I have something you need to know. About what? About your family. About Brendan. About things that aren't what they seem. I pulled into a Starbucks parking lot. What kind of things? Not over the phone. Can you meet me at the diner on 5th Street? The one near the old movie theater? When? Now. 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from my aunt in a cracked vinyl booth. Catherine looked nervous, fidgeting with her coffee cup. I should have called you sooner, she said, but I didn't know how bad things had gotten until today. What are you talking about? Helen called me after your meeting. She's desperate, Tatum, begging me to talk sense into you. And I told her she made her bed. Catherine leaned forward. But there's something else. Something about Brendan that your sister doesn't know. My stomach clenched. What about him? He's been pawning things. Family heirlooms. Your grandmother's jewelry that was supposed to go to you and Eloise. What? I saw him at Murphy's pawn shop last month. He was selling your grandmother's pearl necklace. The one she wore in her wedding photo. I felt sick. Does Eloise know? I don't think so. But that's not all. Catherine pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. I followed him after that. He went to 3 more pawn shops that day. The photo showed Brendan coming out of a shop with a satisfied look on his face. How long has this been going on? At least 6 months. Maybe longer. Catherine put her phone away. Your parents think he's this perfect son-in-law, but he's been stealing from the family to pay off his debts. Jesus Christ. There's more. I have a friend who works at the bank. She told me Brendan tried to get a loan using your parents' house as collateral. Last week. He what? He forged Matthew's signature on a loan application. $50,000. The only reason it didn't go through was because the house is already in foreclosure. I stared at her. You're telling me that while my parents are about to lose their house, their perfect son-in-law is trying to steal it out from under them? That's exactly what I'm telling you. My phone buzzed. Text from Eloise. Can we talk? Privately? I showed Catherine the message. Speak of the devil. Are you going to tell her? I don't know. Maybe she should hear it from you. She won't believe me. You know how she is about Brendan. Catherine was right. Eloise worshipped her husband. She'd never believe he was capable of this. I texted back, meet me at the park on Elm Street. 1 hour. Catherine grabbed my hand. Tatum, I know I haven't been the best aunt. I should have stood up for you more over the years. Why didn't you? Because it was easier to go along with Helen's version of things. But watching what happened at your wedding, seeing how they treated you, I can't stay quiet anymore. What changed your mind? You did. The way you handled that family meeting today. You didn't scream or throw a tantrum. You just laid out the facts and walked away. That took strength. I felt tears prick my eyes. I'm tired of being strong. I know, but you're the only one in this family who sees things clearly. An hour later, I was sitting on a park bench watching Eloise walk toward me. She looked exhausted, her usually perfect appearance disheveled. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sitting down. What do you want, Eloise? I want to apologize. For everything. For the wedding. For not standing up for you. For being a terrible sister. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? That it's fine? That I forgive you? Because I don't. Eloise started crying. I know I don't deserve it, but I need your help. With what? I'm pregnant. I stared at her. What? 8 weeks. I found out yesterday. Congratulations. Tatum, I can't bring a baby into this mess. Brendan and I are drowning in debt. My parents are about to be homeless, and I just found out. She trailed off. Found out what? That Brendan's been lying to me. About everything. The debt is worse than he told me. Much worse. I thought about what Catherine had said. About the pawned jewelry and the forged loan application. How much worse? 40,000. Maybe more. He's been hiding credit cards from me. Eloise, there's something else you need to know. What? I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. For the first time in years, she seemed vulnerable. Human. Brendan's been stealing from the family. That's impossible. Catherine saw him pawning Grandma's jewelry. He tried to take out a loan against Mom and Dad's house without their permission. Eloise went very still. You're lying. I wish I was. She buried her face in her hands. Oh God, what am I going to do? For the first time in my life, I felt sorry for my sister. The golden child was finally seeing that her perfect life was built on lies. I don't know, I said honestly, but you have a choice to make. What choice? You can keep playing the victim, or you can finally tell the truth. 2 weeks later, the eviction notice was posted on my parents' front door. I know because Georgia Walton, their nosy neighbor, took a photo and posted it on the neighborhood Facebook group with the caption, "Sad to see the house on Maple Street getting foreclosed. I thought the family was doing well." The post got 43 comments in 2 hours. By evening, it had been shared to 3 other local groups. Ariel called me at work. Tate, you need to see this. It's everywhere. What's everywhere? The foreclosure. Someone posted a picture of the notice on your parents' door. People are talking. I pulled up Facebook on my work computer. The comments were brutal. Didn't they just throw a huge wedding for their daughter? I heard Matthew was bragging about his investments at the country club last month. Helen was posting vacation photos from Napa just last week. Guess that financial advisor wasn't so great after all. I scrolled through dozens of comments from people I'd grown up with, neighbors, family friends. Everyone was speculating about what had happened. Then I saw Mom's response, posted an hour ago. This is a temporary situation due to banking errors. We're working with our legal team to resolve it quickly. Thank you for your concern. Banking errors. Even now, she couldn't tell the truth. My phone rang. Dad. Tatum, you need to fix this. Fix what? This social media nightmare. People are calling us, asking questions. Your mother is humiliated. Maybe she should have thought about that before she humiliated me. This is different. This is public. So was your Instagram post about Eloise being the daughter who honors the family. That was a mistake. No, Dad. This is karma. I hung up and went back to work. But I couldn't concentrate. Every few minutes, I found myself refreshing the Facebook post, watching the comments multiply. At 3 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from Eloise. I need to see you. Emergency. I found her sitting in her car outside my office building, crying so hard she could barely speak. Eloise, what happened? I confronted Brendan. About the jewelry, about the loan application, about everything. And he didn't deny it. He said he was trying to protect me from the stress. She wiped her nose with a tissue. Then he said it was all your fault anyway. My fault? He said if you hadn't stopped paying the mortgage, none of this would have happened. That you're destroying the family out of spite. I felt my anger flare. And what did you say? I told him he was wrong. That you'd been supporting Mom and Dad for years while they treated you like garbage. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I told him I was ashamed of how we'd all treated you. How did he take that? He said I was choosing you over him. That I was being manipulated. She started crying again. So I left. Left? I packed a bag and left. I'm staying at Catherine's. I stared at my sister. In 32 years, I'd never seen her stand up to anyone. What about the baby? I don't know. I can't think about that right now. She pulled out her phone. Tatum, I want to do something, but I need to know you're okay with it. What? I want to tell the truth. Publicly. About everything. Eloise. No, listen. I've been complicit in this lie for too long. People deserve to know that you're not the villain here. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. For you. For me. For this baby. She put her hand on her stomach. I don't want to raise a child in a family built on lies. That evening I was making dinner when Blaze came home with a strange look on his face. You need to see this, he said, handing me his phone. It was a Facebook post from Eloise, posted 20 minutes ago. The caption was long, raw, and brutally honest. I need to tell the truth about something. My family's losing our childhood home, and people are speculating about why. The truth is, my father lost his pension 2 years ago in bad investments. My sister Tatum has been secretly paying their mortgage ever since, without any recognition or thanks. She's given them over $70,000 of her own money, while they criticized her life choices and treated her like she was broken. When she got married 3 weeks ago, my parents chose to skip her wedding and instead posted on social media about how I was the good daughter. That same day, Tatum stopped the payments. Not out of spite, but because she finally realized she deserved better. I have been complicit in a lie that painted my sister as difficult when she was actually the only thing keeping our family afloat. I'm ashamed of how we treated her, and I'm sorry it took losing everything for me to find the courage to speak up. The post already had 67 comments and 23 shares. Holy shit, I whispered. Keep reading, Blaze said. I scrolled through the comments. They were overwhelmingly supportive of me and critical of my parents. Tatum sounds like a saint. Your parents should be ashamed. I always thought there was more to the story. Good for you for telling the truth. My phone started ringing. Mom. I looked at Blaze. Should I answer? That's up to you, I answered. Hello, Helen. How could you let her do this? Mom was screaming. How could you let her destroy us like this? I didn't let her do anything. She made her own choice. She's ruining our reputation. Your reputation was built on lies. Eloise just told the truth. Please, Tatum, make her take it down. I'm begging you. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. I'm done protecting you from the consequences of your actions. You're our daughter, am I? Because for 32 years, you've made it pretty clear that I'm not the daughter you wanted. I hung up and turned off my phone. The truth was finally out there. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. Eloise's post went viral overnight. By morning, it had been shared over 500 times and picked up by 3 local news outlets. The story had everything people loved: family drama, financial secrets, and a clear villain-victim dynamic. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Jesus, Blaze said, looking at his own phone. Channel 7 wants to interview you. Not happening. Good call. I scrolled through the messages. Most were supportive, but a few family members were furious. Uncle David, you've destroyed this family. Cousin Marcus, this was private business. But then I saw one that made me smile. From my old college roommate, always knew you were the strong one. Proud of you. At 9 a.m. there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find my parents standing on my doorstep. Dad looked defeated. Mom looked desperate. We need to talk, Dad said. No, we don't. Tatum, please. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. I know we messed up, but we're still your parents. Are you? Because parents don't skip their daughter's wedding. Parents don't publicly humiliate their children. Parents don't take money for years without even saying thank you. We didn't know you were paying. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Dad stepped forward. What do you want from us? An apology? Fine. We're sorry. We're sorry we missed your wedding. We're sorry we took you for granted. We're sorry we favored Eloise. You think this is about an apology? Isn't it? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Dad, you only love me when I'm useful to you, when I'm paying your bills or fixing your problems. The moment I stopped being useful, you wrote me off. That's not true. Then why are you here? Why now? Is it because you suddenly realized you love me? Or because Eloise's post made you look bad? Neither of them answered. That's what I thought. Mom started crying. Tatum, we're going to lose everything. The house, our reputation, our friends. Please. You lost me first. Everything else is just stuff. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. For the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first instead of trying to earn love that was never going to come. My phone rang. Eloise. I should take this, I said, stepping back inside and closing the door. Tatum, are you okay? I saw Mom and Dad's car in your driveway. They're on my porch begging for help. Are you going to help them? No. Good. Eloise's voice was stronger than I'd heard it in years. I filed for divorce this morning. Eloise? Brendan cleaned out our joint account yesterday, took the last $3,000 and disappeared. Catherine's lawyer thinks he's fled the state. I'm sorry? Don't be. I'm finally seeing clearly. She paused. I wanted to ask you something. What? Would you be my baby's godmother? I know I don't deserve it, but I want my child to know what real strength looks like. I felt tears prick my eyes. Yes. Thank you. For everything. For being the sister I should have been. After we hung up, I opened the door. My parents were still standing there. "We heard you talking to Eloise," Mom said. "Is it true about Brendan?" "Ask her yourself." "Tatum, please. We have nowhere else to go." "You have each other. That's more than you gave me." Dad's face hardened. "Fine. But don't expect us to come crawling back when you realize what you've done." "I won't." They walked away without another word. That evening, Ariel came over with champagne and takeout. "How are you feeling?" she asked, settling onto my couch. "Free, sad, relieved, guilty, all at once." "The guilt will pass." "Will it?" "Tate, you gave them everything for 2 years. Your money, your energy, your hope. They gave you nothing but criticism and rejection. You don't owe them anything else." We ate in comfortable silence, watching the sun set through my living room window. "I'm deleting all my social media," I said finally. "Good idea." I pulled out my phone and opened Facebook one last time. Before deactivating my account, I posted a single photo. My wedding picture with Blaze, both of us laughing during our first dance. The caption read, "Built my life on love, not lies." I hit post and then deleted the app. My phone buzzed with a message notification. "Unknown number. I need to see you. Eloise." I showed the message to Ariel. "What do you think she wants?" "Only one way to find out." I typed back, "When?" "Tomorrow. I have something to give you." I set the phone aside and looked around my apartment. My home, my sanctuary. For the first time in 32 years, I didn't have to worry about anyone else's approval or disappointment. "You know what?" I said to Ariel. "I think I'm going to be okay." "I know you are." Outside it started to rain, but inside I was finally warm.